Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Vaughan Manor, where Roger and I have returned for Mythos Monday. It's time for Mythos Monday once again. Actually, it's not usually Mythos Monday anymore, but today it is because I want to talk about something specific. I want to talk about this book and its companion volume. I want to talk about the new Annotated H.P. Lovecraft, which I've talked about before. But recently, I got this particular copy in the mail. So this is the new Annotated Lovecraft. This is a newer printing, which has a different cover than the original cover from the first edition. Most people don't seem to like this cover. It's pretty strange. This is Cthulhu. It's Cthulhu destroying a ship, emerging from the fog and destroying a ship. And yeah, a lot of people don't like it. I don't mind it. It's pretty strange. It's pretty weird, which is appropriate for Lovecraft. But most people seem to like the original cover. And the friend of mine who sent this to me because while the book is fantastic, they wanted the original cover, and they did get it. They got the original cover, which looks like this. And so they didn't need that newer edition. But I wanted to take a look at it, so they kindly sent it my way. This is the original cover, which most people seem to prefer, and it's because it looks great. This is just a great looking cover. And this book is magnificent. I think the new Annotated Lovecraft is one of the most important and interesting H.P. Lovecraft publications in recent memory. It's just a fantastic book, full of annotations and illustrations. Pretty much every real place that is mentioned in H.P. Lovecraft, you've got a photograph and some annotations about it. A lot of information in the annotations, which can tell you all about stuff you might not know in these H.P. Lovecraft stories. And it's tremendously entertaining. It was all done by Leslie S. Klinger, who did a lot of great annotated books, including the new annotated Sherlock Holmes, which is fantastic. And he also did my favorite version of Dracula of all time. He did the new annotated Dracula, which is stupidly out of print, apparently. But that is the greatest edition of Dracula, in my opinion. I love it. But this is pretty great, too. But it's not perfect. And that's one of the reasons I was anxious to check this out. Because I was wondering if any of the problems that I found in the first edition were corrected when this new printing came out. There were a couple errors I found in the original. Well, there were a few errors I found in the original edition. A couple of them are very minor, and one is extremely major. One is almost unforgivable. And I assumed that was probably that would be corrected as soon as possible, but apparently not, because this edition with this new cover is exactly the same as this, as far as I can tell. So the problems, like I said, are pretty minor except for one thing. Otherwise, this is fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to revisiting this book and its companion volume. One of the reasons is that the companion volume, which is this, the new Annotated H.P. Lovecraft Beyond Arkham, I haven't read yet. And partly I think that is because I've been on BookTube and reading 1,000 other things. But yeah, I haven't read this yet. This has all of the major horror and fantasy stories that they were unable to put in the first volume. So now, Leslie S. Klinger has annotated pretty much everything that H.P. Lovecraft did, except for like a few humorous stories and things like that. But all of the major stuff certainly has been annotated and is available in the 2 volumes. And this second volume looks just as great as the first one. And the second volume has The Lurking Fear, it has From Beyond, it has The Tomb, which is the first H.P. Lovecraft story I ever read. And that seems to be pretty heavily annotated, so Klinger must have a lot to say about that. Again, This second volume has a lot of illustrations, has photocopies of some original manuscript pages. It has photographs of different places mentioned in the texts. So this looks fantastic. And so I'm thinking about revisiting the new annotated H.P. Lovecraft, and I will probably do that late December and going into January. That is my plan anyway. Now, like I said, this edition, as fantastic as it is, and we'll get into that in a minute, this is just a duplicate of the first edition. Differences are minor. The cover is very different. This edition, the newer printing, was published in China. The first edition was published in the United States. The end papers on this are gray, and in the original edition, they're black. Otherwise, everything is the same. And it certainly is a magnificent book, has a great introduction and forward. So, all the good stuff. But there are a couple things. There are a couple minor things which I'll mention here. There were a couple mistakes that I noticed. On page 721, there is a sentence that starts like this. The essence was always the same. A person of keen thoughtfulness seized with a strange secondary life. So in this edition, or in all copies of the new annotated Lovecraft, the word with is missing. It's been omitted. So the sentence actually reads, the essence was always the same. A person of keen thoughtfulness seized a strange secondary life, which reads a little bit different. And I noticed that right away. Okay, so there was an error there. On page 777, there is a sentence that reads, full consciousness returned very slowly, and at no time could I tell just where true memory left off and delirious dream began. In the new annotated H.P. Lovecraft, the word dream is missing, so it reads, full consciousness returned very slowly, and at no time could I tell just where true memory left off and delirious began, which is a little strange. It reads a little odd. So again, something I was able to spot right away. There could be further errors, but these are the ones that I spotted. I just assumed that these would be corrected whenever a new printing came out. Did not happen. So that's on the publisher, But the main thing, the one unforgivable, it's forgivable, but the one almost unforgivable error happens on page 293. And let me go to it. 293. So this is in the case of Charles Dexter Ward. And it happens right here. So we get to the end of this paragraph, and there should be something that is missing. And that, I will pull out my Arkham House edition. At the end of that paragraph, we get this, which is a message that Dr. Willett finds in his pocket. He finds a message in his pocket, a mysterious message. And this is the message. And in every edition of the case of Charles Dexter Ward that I've ever seen, this message has been reprinted because it's part of the text. And it even says, this is the message, and here is the message. But in the new annotated Lovecraft, the message should be right there, and it's missing. It is nowhere to be found, which is truly bizarre, because this book is full of all kinds of great stuff everywhere. And it could have been, they could have corrected this without even making too much difference in the text. They could have put it right there and just made another footnote. But they didn't. That continues to be missing in the new annotated Lovecraft. Perhaps not a huge deal. It's a huge deal. It bothers me, because that is just an obvious error. And one of the strange things about that is that there were editions out there, advanced readers' copies, and I know that was caught. It wasn't just me. I'm not the only one who caught that. I know other people did, and I'm sure the publisher was informed, hey, you're missing this. You should fix that when you get a chance. I know they were informed, but the publisher did not fix it. That's troubling to me because a lot of work went into this volume. A lot of work, you can tell. I mean, the number of photographs, the number of notes, I mean, just the design of the whole book is wonderful. I know that was caught, but so far, it has not been fixed. And I don't know whether this book will ever get a second edition. It should. I know it's sold. It's a great book. And just getting into it, if you can overlook those errors, it's a magnificent book. All kinds of illustrations and observations on the texts. Every factual place, every eclipse, every star, everything like that that was mentioned in the text, you've got notes and illustrations having to do with them. Every city, is mentioned. All kinds of information you could find in the notes in this volume. And to make it even better, I think some of the illustrations are so wonderful, particularly in the case of Charles Dexter Ward and some others where they're talking about a lot of real places. It's great to actually see some of the buildings and some of the streets that are mentioned. Like I said, there are some maps in here. And some of these original pulp illustrations are just reproduced wonderfully. They just look great. And unless you read the original pulp versions of these stories, you might never have seen some of these illustrations. Certainly when I went through this, there were a ton of illustrations that I had never seen. And like this one from the Dunwich Horror, if you hadn't read the original Weird Tales magazine version of the Dunwich Horror, you probably would never have seen that. And of course, all kinds of notes and things about this story. It's just full of such great stuff. And it's been a long time since I've read it. And so I'm pretty anxious to revisit it. I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. Huge. I love his work. And so if you're a Lovecraft fan like I am, this book is just amazing. Amazing. It's even better when it looks like this for most people. If you're going to get the book now, you're probably going to get this version. But there is no material difference, really, between that version and this version. It seems to be exactly the same. And also, I do want to get to this. And so I want to revisit that earlier volume. And I want to get to this. I've never read it. I don't know if there are any errors in this one. I would hope not. Certainly it seems to be done with the same care and attention as his other annotated works, Leslie Klinger's. Got that great illustration of Pickman's model. So when it says Beyond Arkham, these editions don't go so much by the Cthulhu Mythos title as they do about stories that mention or are centered around Arkham, the mythical Massachusetts town that features, or at least is mentioned in a lot of Lovecraft stories. And that's the majority of the stories in here. This original volume has all of his best Cthulhu Mythos stories in it. But there's a lot of stuff that didn't make it into that volume, and so I'm really anxious to look at this one. This cover is great, by the way. No problems with this cover at all. It's fantastic. It's dark, as I think it should be. I think that probably is the main gripe, aside from the plain weirdness of this version, is that this just seems a little light for Lovecraft. He looks like just a happy Cthulhu emerging from the fog, where this is darker and creepier, which seems more appropriate. Same book, though. But this one I am anxious to get to. And it's got the dream quest of unknown Kadath, which is what I think an underrated Lovecraft story, just a truly bizarre fantasy story that probably could only be written by Lovecraft. It's so strange. And so, yeah, anxious to look at these two again. Probably going to do it right around Christmas. So right around Christmas, which is the time when we booktubers always pick up Lovecraft, because he's such a Christmassy type of guy, H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, it'll be right around then, I think, when I'm going to pick those up and give those another read and really go over some of those annotations and just see what I think of them now. It's been a long time, and I'm pretty anxious to do it. Still a little disappointed those errors were not corrected. And indeed, one of the things I'm going to be looking for is, are there any more that I might have missed the first time? I think that's good information to know. You never know. They might want to actually come out with a second edition someday. Hopefully they will, and so if there are any more errors to be found, it would be good to have those out there so that they might possibly be corrected. But you never know. I don't know if this book will ever be reprinted. You never know with books, But it's great, and I look forward to revisiting it. And that's all I have to say for today, Roger. I'm just babbling. We'll catch you next time.